What's up, sons? It's Blind Red with Son of a Tech once again, and GPU mining is probably one of the most difficult mining endeavors you can take on right now. It's very competitive. A lot of GPUs are currently turned off, and whenever something becomes profitable or looks like it may become profitable, a bunch of GPUs turn on, and then eventually they turn back off as we find that certain networks are not actually able to handle the entire hash rate. What I wanted to take a look at was Ironfish in particular. Now, you guys may have already watched my video on the tokenomics, but we are going to briefly cover that, and I'm going to give you guys a reason why I'm a little bit bullish on Ironfish, despite, of course, the poor fundamentals from my humble perspective. And then we are going to talk about a couple of the GPU options that I'm taking a look at if I'm deciding to go ahead and mine Ironfish. Let's get into all of that and more right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is myself. I recently launched a crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com, and it includes 9 steps to cover when you decide to start your crypto mining journey. This is specifically pertaining to 2023 crypto mining profits and taking advantage of the down market to achieve skyrocketing growth as we move into the next halving of Bitcoin. You'll learn buying mining equipment in a bear market, using outside investment to speculative mine, begin mining once profit is established, sell mine crypto to pay for electricity, hold and prep for the bull run, sell at the top of the bull market, sell mining equipment at the top of the bull market, and begin investing in land and power so that you can bring in outside investors to utilize excess resources. Thanks everybody for your support, and I hope you enjoy the course. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section below. Welcome back. So just a brief overview here really quickly is going to be over specifically the tokenomics. Over the first year, only about 30% of the rewards will come from mining. Now, the problem here, of course, is that during that year, those mining rewards will be the only sellable tokens of all of the allocated tokens that are available. However, after that year, we will have an unlock of a certain amount from investors, advisors, and employees. Now, for every employee, there is a 4-year vesting with a 1-year cliff on top of the lockup schedule. So really what we're looking at is basically the lockup period between a year and 24 months, right? So 1 to 2 years here. And if we go all the way out to 2 years, only 33.6% of the rewards will be from mining. It actually takes all the way up to basically 48 months before we see 48% of the rewards coming from mining. And at any of these given times, of course, miners will have to basically deal with the fact that the price could get basically reduced based on the unlock periods for this particular token. And that means that from a mining perspective, what you're looking at is making sure that you are paying attention to the market and not getting caught in something where you end up holding on to the Ironfish for too long. Now, that's not necessarily for sure that you're going to see a dump in the price, because as you can see with the amount of people invested in this, they have a vested interest, of course, in keeping the price high. They probably won't want to dump and that sort of thing. Here's the honest truth about Ironfish from a fundamental perspective. If you were going to basically base it off of a comparison with Bitcoin, or for privacy, something like Monero, etc., it goes against the grain and against the fundamentals, which can be something that if you want to hold to, you may want to consider skipping Ironfish. However, as a GPU miner, it's important to note that your primary goal as a GPU miner is to make enough revenue to cover your expenses and continue your operations. And that's where Ironfish ends up becoming enticing, right? Because you do have that profitability to it that is not quite available on a lot of other networks. And there have been some that have been profitable on GPUs like Caspa, but they've moved on to FPGAs, and really soon maybe we'll even move on to the ASICs. If we take a look at something like Nexa, which I have an interview coming out here for in a little bit as well, they're going to be moving to ASICs as well. And so you end up with very few options for GPU mineable only. And the thing about this too is, though, just so you guys are aware of the rumor mill, there is an FPGA bitstream rumored for Ironfish. So even Ironfish may be susceptible to this problem. So that's kind of everything put together. The difference is we've had ASICs on Ethereum in the past, moving up into the merge, and it was still more profitable for GPUs on Ethereum. And you're not too far off from the business model of Ethereum than you are with the business model of Ironfish. We could get into, well, should a privacy coin have any KYC at all, as they did with their incentivized testnets? Should a cryptocurrency that is supposed to be private have these vested interests from investors, VCs, and all of that sort of thing? But putting all of that aside and looking at, is it going to be a stable network to mine? We're starting to get a better idea of that now. On initial launch, there was way too much hash rate that caused way too many issues, and obviously the network was not able to perform at its peak because there was too much hash rate, and basically what you ended up having was a huge increase in the difficulty, which then corresponded to a slowing down of the network, not dissimilar from what we saw on Ergo post-merge, but a little bit faster in the adjustment period, so ended up shaking out okay. If we look at the price, what we can see here is the initial launch of the price being at $7.50, and now we've come down to stabilizing around the $4.50 to $4.75, let's just say $5 to make it even. So we can make a reasonable assertion at this point that we are starting to stabilize in price for Ironfish as it currently sits. And so if you are looking into pricing mining and GPUs, now would be the time to begin to do that. And we can also confirm that as well with a corresponding reduction in the amount of hash rate on the network, going down from 5 or almost 6 petahash a second down to this 3.6 petahash a second. And this means, of course, that we are starting to see a stabilization in the difficulty, so you can start to determine basically your profitability on Ironfish in general. And this is important when you're deciding to purchase equipment for GPUs or for mining, Ironfish with GPUs in particular. Obviously, that rumor that could be coming out, though, of course, is going to be everything with the FPGAs. We'll just have to see how that's approached by the developers and if they decide to fork off of that or not. That being said, if we look at current GPU revenue, according to hashrate.no at 13 cents a kilowatt hour, we see a lot of Ironfish popping up, with the RTX 4090 having a profit of 70 cents a day. And then going down from there, the 6000 series and 7000 series performing quite well on this particular algorithm, going all the way up to 25 cents a day in profit on the 6900 XT, which is actually beating out the 7900 XTX, which is its 23 cents a kilowatt hour. So 6000 series is looking very strong here, and that will be something that determines a little bit of my buying suggestions for Ironfish mining in particular. But the outlier here that if you look at the calculator, you might not catch right off the bat is going to be the RTX 4070, which actually on Ironfish does remain profitable at 17 cents a day. While it does show more profitable on Dynex as well as Radiant, it's important to note that there are more tweaks that you can do to the 4070. And the 4070 is profitable on a plethora of different algorithms as compared to the 6900 XT, which is not as profitable on as many algorithms. So you kind of have this trade-off. And another benefit of the RTX 4070 in particular is over the 6900 XT is going to be the amount of power that is allowed or needed, and that's going to be a single 8-pin on the 4070 compared to dual 8 pins needed on the 6900 XT. That being said, there are some really good deals you can get on the 6900 XT. For example, here at ProVantage, you'll see that you can pick up a 6900 XT for $525, and you're getting 16 gigs of RAM on a 256-bit bus outperforming the RX, excuse me, 7900 XTX, which makes this kind of an interesting play and something I was looking at. You can pick these up for under $600 as well on Amazon and Newegg too, but this is the best pricing I've found so far, so I wanted to make you guys aware of it. I do not have an affiliate link for this one in particular, so, you know, throw me a kickback by joining sonofatech.locals.com if you're appreciative of that. However, my main play lately has been the RTX 4070s, and that's because they do come in at that $600 price range. They are the latest generation, and they only require a single 8-pin power adapter. Of course, you want to make sure that you're looking at the particular model and confirming that it only utilizes the single 8-pin, and that's going to reduce, of course, basically your building complexity when you're putting these into a mining rig, which is really what makes them beneficial. Across the board, the RTX 4070 is really impressive, looking like basically a RTX 3070 with better power consumption, and you get more memory at 12 gigabytes of the faster GDDR6X. So even though the bus width is lower at 192 bits compared to the 6900 XT with the 256-bit bus, it ends up being basically on par across the board for your memory intensive algorithms, and that's what makes it extremely impressive. And because it performs well on Ironfish, it is one to take a look at for sure. So these are the two GPUs I've been looking at if I was going to build an Ironfish mining rig. I think that you get a little bit of a better bang for your buck out of the 4070 moving forward. However, here's a little caveat that you should be aware of. NVIDIA has had the worst sales pretty much in their history on the RTX 4070, as gamers are not picking these up, and GPU mining has been at an all-time low from a profitability standpoint. This means that there is a possibility for a price cut on the RTX 4070s. And because of that and the overall faster performance that you can get on the 6900 XT, plus the price cuts that are happening already on the 6900 XT, it might be advised to go with the 6000 series from AMD for now while you have those price cuts, and then move over to the 4070s for those price cuts. However, NVIDIA, as they are basically greedy as heck, are doing the same thing that they've done previously, where as opposed to reducing the price of their GPUs, they are reducing the amount of cards that they're putting into production. And that means that they are basically manipulating supply to keep the prices high, as opposed to reducing the price of the GPUs to increase sales. This business strategy is something that they have been doing since the 3000 series and is quite despicable in my humble opinion. We'll have to see how it shakes out moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just another wrap up on Ironfish. From a fundamental standpoint, it is a lot more akin to something like Ethereum than to Bitcoin. So if you're a traditional cypherpunk, then purely out of the standpoint of your principles, it may be something you avoid. But if we look at things completely honestly, from what we saw with Ethereum and GPU mining and its profitability, even with ASICs on the network, it has a similar starting ground and probably the widest adoption I've ever seen on launch day from a cryptocurrency ever for proof of work. And that could bode well moving into the next bull run. So definitely make sure that you have a versatile GPU like an RTX 4070 ready to go on Ironfish in the case that that is what brings your mining farm into profitability. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell down below, and I will see you next Tuesday.